Welcome to Between the Brows podcast, presented by Buckventures Outdoors, where the guys talk about hunting, God, and everything in between. We've got a great show for you today, so sit back, enjoy, and let's get right into it.
All right, guys. Well, welcome to episode 11 of Between the Brows. It has been a while. It is, December 19th? Our last one we did, I don't even know when it was. Probably August.
Before hunting season.
Season. And a lot has gone down since then. We just kind of want to hop on here and talk about our version of the season. Obviously, Daniel and Chancey aren't here. They are, Daniel's in Kansas, left this morning. Chancey went to the Oklahoma ranch. He's got some kids in, taking them hunting and filming them. So they are out. But me and Jeff just kind of want to hop on here and talk about, what we've gone through so far this year, the season that it's been. Just kind of work through it.
Yeah, and just kind of before we get into it, like I said, Daniel and Ty and Kansas and struggling out there. Been struggling most of the year. Had some good bucks, and then Chancey and Ethan Dow actually has come over to help him film.
Oh, did he?
They're actually taking Hudson Brody and Chloe Brody, two kids that we know very well, and they'll be hunting up there. So, I think Cole, kind of on my heart as we, started talking about it. Obviously, we're going to get into some details, but is how much is hunting, the ups and downs to real life?
Yeah.
When you really go thinking about it, and how are you going to respond? Because we get beat up in life. Yeah, it's always nice when you go out there and you just got this buck pattern and you shoot him. Chancey, always early,
Chancey, yeah.
But very seldom, and even those, you have to learn in the highs as well. Me and you both had big time highs, but we have those lows, and that's where you almost kind of live. And or at least not the highs. You don't live in those. You live in. And so I would just tell anyone out there today as we talk through this is, I really got thinking about it, is let it teach you. Truly let it teach you. And again, it's remembering that, John 15:5, that you can do nothing without Christ, that you are leaning on him for everything. And when a guy can empty himself out like that, and I truly believe that's what God tries to teach us. And he uses our desires, and he uses that. He gives us our desires, but at the same time, He puts you in those valleys to teach you. James 1, 2 and 3, when you find yourself in those trials and tribulations. So basically we're going to talk about, there's a lot that we're going to talk about to me that we don't know. We're going to even ask questions today because we're in a season that I've never been in. But again, I think the season we're all in, whether it's life and something bad coming at your way, because that's what it is. If you're not going through something, just hang on because you're fixing to be. Or someone on your left or right that is going through. And it's been a tough year for us. It's been a tough year for me in so many aspects. But all I know to do, guys, and all I can tell you to do is lean into Christ. Lean into him hard and be empty inside. That's what, having that humility. Remember that Christ in heaven, so it's God the Son in heaven, he humbled himself and came here to be a servant and even die on a cross for our sins. And that's true humility. So that's Romans 5:8, right? Is even as we were still sinners, Christ died for us. So again, not to be preachy, but I wanted to take this opportunity because I know that so many of you guys are going through stuff, whether that's hunting, real life, or whatever it might be. And to me, that's what it is. So as we dive into the details, Cole, and the ups and downs. Heck, you were in just a couple weeks ago, you're running around with me, but then you stayed, boy, you're up high, right? I'm going to stay here and kill this deer. And walk us through that.
Yeah, and just before we get going, it's just us today, so we're self-filming this. I got one camera. There's only going to be one angle, so nothing fancy. We're just talking to the camera. But yeah, I guess before we're doing that, let's just go back to the beginning, and we'll kind of walk through our season if that works for you.
Yeah.
So just as an overall, viewpoint, we had a lot of a lot of lows this year. Not too many highs, but as season came in, we were feeling pretty good, as most people do. We had pictures of a lot of big deer. We had this unbelievable elk hunt set up. We were in the office and we were making a list of our episodes,
which we do every year.
Every year.
We had to have 18 this year.
So we're making a list, and Jeff's like, okay, well, I got these 6 places. Cole, you got these 4. Dan, you got these 5. Chancey, you have these 3. Whitney's got these 3, and we were up to like.
Well, we were marking them down, just not places. We're not marking them as kills. I'm like, dude, I got 6 pretty legitimate.
These will be episodes. And I think when we had the list entirely done, we were at like 26, something like that. 26, that we could, and even if you didn't get a couple, you could still get your 18. And just to be transparent, it's December 15th, or December, whatever I said it was, 19th, and we are at number 10, which is it's been pretty stressful on our side of it. But anyway, started the season, high hopes. We went to New Mexico. We could do an entire podcast on that itself of what actually happened. The ranch was unbelievable. Got to go up there with National Land, Ronnie Richardson. And, we saw some big bulls. And anyway.
Yeah, the place is great. We just got, just to be transparent, we had a guide that was very incompetent, and we didn't realize it. We started realizing it, but it was just terrible. It was just terrible.
Good scenery, though. Big bulls. I know they shot some big bulls, but during that time, Chancey killed. He killed opening day in Kansas, like a 165. So started the season off good, feeling comfortable, feeling confident. And then I don't even know what happened from there.
Well,
then
I think just you got to rewind a little bit from there, because we started out the season working our tail ends off, doing what we love. The Kansas properties were really coming together because we got all this rain, and we probably need to preface that going forward. Many of you guys probably know is we had record amount waterfalls in the spring and up towards the fall. I mean, in our growing period of soybeans and milo and everything that we were doing, alfalfa was unreal.
We looked like we knew what we were doing.
Yeah, we looked like rock star farmers. I mean, we looked like, golly, we were just rolling out there. And so, obviously we got Chancey. He didn't go hunting. He literally, we set up a deal there, and again, I want to say me. He worked his tail end off to get it done, and we had, Big and Jay out. We had soybeans, we had this, and we had bucks coming in, and he goes and puts.
Well, you got a cold front opening day. I think it was raining all day. It's cold, and it stopped like 3 hours before dark, and that's all it took. I think he shot like 40 yards with a muzzleloader.
Yeah.
Started off good, felt good.
We go to New Mexico, have that little hiccup. Still, okay, we didn't get it done, and we come back.
I will say we did have New Mexico chalked up as 2 episodes. Like we'll shoot 2 elk, we'll make it 2 episodes worth. And we came back, and there won't be an episode.
You go over and see a big bull on YouTube. That's about all we got.
Yeah. From there, I think we didn't have any other hunts scheduled other than that elk hunt. I think we kind of started looking more to Kansas.
Well, we had the other one scheduled, remember? Then we come back, and we were on a high because we took Wesley and Hudson and them, and we had a pretty good little, 1st of October.
Well, before that, Whitney killed.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
She was up at J&M Outfitters there in Kansas, shot the last day. Like it was hot.
Tough hunt.
Hot. Finally, her last day, she shot a big, like 7-year-old 7-point, I think, like 145 inch.
Steven worked his butt off for her. I mean, but again, wasn't nothing easy about it. Just a struggle, lots of emotions. Time she pulls the trigger. So great hunt, great story there.
Early season, it's always weather plays a giant. Not that it doesn't play a giant role the whole season, but if it's just 110 degrees the whole time, it makes it really tough. So she finally got on the board. So again, we kind of felt like, okay, we're going in the right direction. Took the kids hunting, and obviously Wesley shot a 150-something inch deer, which was unbelievable with Woods County whitetails, and we had some kids in camp, and that's when everything just went downhill.
That's when it just kind of, you thought, what's going on? I mean, I'm gonna tell you guys, and as we go through this, I'm kind of wanting to know. I mean, I've been talking to a lot of people in the industry to see what's happened this year, but I mean, I'm telling you, we had weeds that were 10 foot tall. We had, every place on our farms was grown up, and then your neighbors' farms were grown up. And I mean, we'll get into that, but that's almost what I kind of equate a lot of this to. And then, to me, how we live in the hunting world is we want highs. We like it to be hot, and then we like it to dip, and then we like to go back and get hot and dip. We don't never want those straight lines. Even if it was 19 degrees every day and it's just like that, it's hard to anticipate things. So obviously I'd rather have cold than hot, but you see what I'm saying. So we ended up with a lot of those straight lines, I feel like, and we just headed downhill. I mean, it was tumbling fast.
Well, in Oklahoma specifically, we had the Wallahatchie Ranch, and we had, before season started, I mean, we were looking at our cameras like, this is going to be a slam dunk.
23 different shooters.
We got 23 different shooters, several over 170, a bunch of 160s, 150s, like mature deer. We're like, this is going to be unbelievable. We're going to have so many deer to go after. And then we had the Brody Farm, and we kind of got cameras out on it later than we usually do. But again, we had some good deer on it. Brought the kids in, and I think, legitimately, in 3 or 4 days of hunting, we saw 2 bucks in daylight.
When you couldn't even see a doe hardly.
Yeah. And that's honestly kind of how some hunts this year, if you saw a doe, that was a good hunt.
Dang, we saw a deer.
Like, legitimately. And, we felt terrible for these kids. It was hot again. They hunted hard. The kid who went with me, Cole, he shot a doe on the last day. Mm-hmm. But it was brutal. I felt terrible for them. They came from, Georgia? Obviously some from Oklahoma too.
Kids, yeah.
And but from there it got tough. So the kids left. And I guess you started hunting Oklahoma a little bit.
Well, a lot of it, guys. I mean, and again, kind of to get on the subject of what happened this year. And like I said, maybe you're sitting out there and going, man, I've just had my regular year, but we haven't heard that from very many people. Most people are like, what is going on? And let's just go to what Cole brought up. I mean, we had big bucks, but the deal is still it's so hard for a deer to do anything twice. I mean, there was so much and so much food from the rain. And again, this is my assumption. There was so much of that. There was so much cover. Our farms, especially in Kansas, we have some of the wooliest, nastiest farms there is. I mean, if you're driving down, you want some eye candy, you can drive by some of our farms. You're like, man, that thing's going to have big bucks all over. But the problem was even those regular farms that were next to them, there was so much cover on them. Then mix that with the good Lord providing that dirt and whatever grows out of that earth, there was so much of it that they didn't want the Big and J in a sense at times. They didn't want corn. And so then it got hard to get pictures. And let's just be honest, we get guilty of chasing cameras a lot, which it's done us good. I mean, we use cameras and we try not to put footprints on those places. And I think there's some good to that. But this year, I can tell you right now, we had to do a lot of guessing, and we did some guessing. I mean, I passed a big muley with a muzzleloader. We passed hook.
170-inch deer.
Yeah, close to it, if not. And then we passed stickers. So we passed some big deer, and then we've passed several that are on camera, and Daniel has too, that we just ain't went after. Mm-hmm. We could go get on them and film them, but they're just not old enough.
Yeah, in Kansas specifically, I guess we need to say this. For as bad, overall, as bad as the year has been, we've passed a lot of big deer, and you've shot some big deer. So we should say that. We've still killed some deer. Yeah. But yeah.
Well, I want to bring that up because I had a comment the other day, and I want to clarify is we're not on here trying to make you feel sorry for us. That's not what we're doing. I mean, a guy says the other day, goes, well, yeah, that's a real tough year. I'm just trying to figure out how to shoot a doe for my family. So again, we're not talking that way. We're just talking, I'm just trying to figure it out, really. And that's what I want to preface today. The question is, what is going on? I mean, some people claim EHD up in Iowa and this and that, but I would say we've seen zero sign. We've been to Nebraska, Missouri, Oklahoma, Ohio, Kansas, New Mexico, and we've not seen one sign of EHD.
Yeah, I don't think we've been affected by that. I just think we've been sitting in blinds. You'll see a deer stand up, and you can barely see him because the grass is 6 foot tall. And here in Oklahoma and Kansas, you can bait, and we do have corn piles and big and J piles, and they will literally walk by that pile 5 yards away and not even look at it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's going on all year long. Mm-hmm. So that's made it tough, and especially like in Northwest Oklahoma. Me and Daniel were actually talking about it. We get a lot of hate people get a lot of hate for baiting. They're like, well, if I had a corn pile, I could go shoot your big deer. And I don't know if any of y'all have ever been to like the Wallahatchie Ranch, but unless you have a rifle, you can't just really go hunt in a sense. I mean, you almost have to have a corn pile. I mean, it's just wide open. A deer is not going to do the same thing twice. Even if it's a drought year, they're not going to walk. They can walk anywhere. It's open. You can see 15 miles in one direction. So,
well, it's in a sense, it's kind of like Texas. I mean, if you ain't got, and you can't hardly plant because you don't get the water out there, whatever. But to your point, even too with you go get you some of it. If you've never used a corn pile, go up in there and try to shoot you a big deer with a bow or a gun over a corn pile. It turns them into even a different creature as they come into that. And if there's any scent, if there's any smell, is there any noise prior to that? They ain't coming. And when we say that, we're talking about a big deer. They ain't easy to kill out there. That's for sure.
And we don't get to bait everywhere. And there's a lot of times we choose not to hunt over bait because of that. You get does in front of you, and it's hard to get by 10 does sitting on a corn pile looking up, every few seconds. So we hunt off of them a lot. But I forgot what I was even talking about.
Well, I mean, I think the big thing is just trying to figure out, guys, is – Cole and myself, Chancey, Daniel, Ty, Whitney, me and Cole's had this conversation I don't know how many times, and maybe I just have it with him, and he's just like, dude, I'm sick of hearing you say the same thing, but just trying to figure it out. I mean, it'll drive you crazy out there. You talk about a grind. I mean, I think, this year, one thing we want to bring up with you, and we'll start advertising it big time, but is this year we're real excited about Buckventures. It will be a chronological. I mean, I'll let you kind of explain the way that it's going to go.
Yeah, so we've kind of, in the past, when we air an episode on Outdoor Channel or whatever, it'll basically just be, say it's Jeff hunting Kansas. That episode will be just dedicated to Jeff and his season from start to finish. And it's worked great. People have loved it. But we just, you got to change every so often. So we've decided to kind of change the format to where it's going to be chronological from episode 1 to the last episode in the season where, it might start off with Jeff in Kansas and then immediately go to Daniel or Chancey or whoever's hunting at that time so that we can – the problem with just focusing on one episode the whole time is you can't always dig into the encounters and stuff that you just don't have enough time. And so this year's kind of going to bounce around a little bit and show our story from start to finish. But it's going to be chronological.
It's going to go time-wise, whatever.
Yeah, so if you were hunting Kansas on October 2nd and Daniel was in Ohio October 2nd, it's just kind of going to bounce around to where people are at that exact time and what we're going through, what we're dealing with. And I think it'll be really, really good if we can – we just got to figure out a few things to pull it off. Yeah, so we're excited about that. And again, I think it's a perfect time. God's timing is always perfect that, you're going to see some struggles. Now, I will say this. So far, we've had some good deer hit the ground. And there's some unbelievable stories that you guys are going to get to see. And there's some unbelievable footage. So, don't count us out because God is definitely provided. It's just been hard. And it's really made it, I don't even know. I mean, it's me and Cole just come off I don't even know. We ain't even scored the deer, but definitely mid 80s, maybe closer up high 80s. I don't know. But
it was almost like shocking when we did it. I mean, it's just like, golly, I can't even believe it happened. But it was almost like our emotions we didn't even know how to deal with them. Maybe still.
Yeah. Well, I will say we've shot some good deer, and we're probably going to get some hate for it. But some of the footage we have of passing some of these deer is just incredible. These 4-year-old 170-inch deer, and I'm sure somebody will send us a message being mad about it. But that's who we are. We set a goal. We want to shoot deer that are 5+, and we know these deer are 4 or younger. And
I'll tell you guys, we try to have a co-op. When we say that, we try to talk to our neighbors and see what they're going to pass, and we tell them what we're going to pass. But I mean, we passed Hook, and it's on 75 acres. So,
and he did not live on the 75 acres.
And he ain't come back. I mean, we had him after we passed him. We don't know if he's going to make it or not, but our policy is to bet on the deer. So I guess I want to say that when you think, oh, well, Danker and them's up there and they got thousands of acres that they're managing. No. I mean, we have a few farms in Kansas, but the biggest farm we have is 392 acres? Mm-hmm. That's the biggest piece of ground we got together. Then we got 75 acres, we got a 200 acres, we got a 374. So it's littler farms, if in a sense. But we're just going to bet on the deer. And I mean, the truth of the matter is, it's just kind of who we are now. I've shot a ton of deer, and I'm not necessarily telling you to do that. I'm just, this is what we're producing because that's kind of who we are, and that's what we're filming. We ain't trying to be something we're not. But
I will say, some of them were like, because the way the season was going, it was looking like it was going to be. I was like, hey, Jeff, you sure you don't want to shoot him?
So when y'all watch Hook, the first thing Coach says, he said, man, he looks big.
Well, I mean, it's true. He was big. Yeah. I didn't say, hey, Jeff, you need to shoot that deer.
It wouldn't hurt your feelings at the time.
It wouldn't have, but
because it was killer footage.
But if he did make it, again, that was early October. I think October 8th, maybe 7th or 8th. And we have not seen him since the middle of October, I think, right?
Yeah.
And it's,
but we just had another deer come by.
We did have another one show up, so we're fingers crossed that he will show up, because if he made it, he'll be a special deer.
So, just looking at things, guys, I want to bring up a few things, and I don't have the answers for, but I'll tell you what we went through, and I was already going through this. I've always taught, if you've listened to my teachings, is that those deer are going to rut the same time every year. You can always go to the fawns, and you can go back 200 days, which I still believe in that science. But I have literally seen the last 2 or 3 years, this rut has got out of hand. And we had reports this year of deer breeding in like October 24th. And I'm talking legit reports. We see things right now. It's December 19th, and deer are still rutting. And obviously there's a second rut, but it's to the point of these deer running themselves down so much. And again, we got to look to ourselves too. Is there too many does? Is there this? But so I look at that. I look at just deer in general coming to any type of food. I'm seeing things that just aren't normal in a sense this year, especially this year, where deer are just, maybe even eating things. I'm like, what are they eating? What is he doing over there for 30 minutes in the dirt? And so there's a lot of question marks for me this year. And it's just, like I said, deer have been so spread out. Deer won't do anything twice. And again, I ask you, are you having the same problems that we have? We definitely want this episode to you guys to write into us. Write in. What has your season been like? Did you have a big deer, or did you have a big deer last year and now he's not there? That's what we had. We had this caddy buck I just shot. We had him. He was there last, all dropping his sheds, everything. And then we don't even get a picture of him until December 8th. So many deer that we knew we had in last year.
We know that survived.
Yeah.
And they just weren't there. And our neighbors didn't have them.
I know.
When nobody's found them dead.
Find them dead. There ain't no smells. I mean, I don't know. And we're seeing this report all over the country. So my question is, please let us know what you're seeing wherever you're at in the country. I mean, is it different? Is it the same? Do you guys see some of these same trends? Because there's some changes going on, I feel like. You know, and I mean, if you just watch Facebook, even, you know, some of these big time buck killers, I mean, I just don't feel like some of them have had the same type of years.
I don't think we're the only ones struggling. I mean, you can look at even other TV shows and their social media, and they're, you know, they've shot some deer, but not like they typically do, and not as big as they typically do. And even we listened to a podcast with Mark Drury, and he said it's the toughest year he's ever seen.
Well, and I think Mark and him do have some ADHD, so and they, you know, they deal with a little different stuff, but at the same time, yeah, it's kind of the same deal. Something in the air, or something. I mean, it's just weird.
Yeah.
I would like to, maybe we can get a hold of Bill Winkie and get a hold of maybe even Randy Birdsong, and then boys, get some of them type people on here, Jeff Lindsay's, whatever, and maybe we can, because I really want to explore this. I want to explore it. It's something that I don't think there's a scientific, biologic guy, whatever, that can answer it right now. I think it's something we're living.
Well, I hope going forward we never have another year like this. Again, we shot some deer, but it has been, it's just, I mean, I think a big part of it is we talked about trail cameras, and we rely on trail cameras probably way more than we need to. I think they're a great tool. They're the worst tool ever created for hunting.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, you know, we keep saying that deer never do anything twice, and everything's so sporadic and random, and, you know, we would wait for a deer to show up.
Yeah.
And then we'd go into hunt. Well, he's not doing it twice.
Well, and to clarify, just because I don't know if he was clear with that, when he said that the trail camera's the best thing and the worst thing. He didn't just say it was the worst. He's just saying basically if you abuse it and you go in, put it in footprints and in and out, is what he's saying. And I agree with him totally. So they're good, but yeah, sometimes you just gotta go hunt, or just get back to the pickup and observe and find out what's going on. Be in an observation stand. I mean, that's how I killed so many at the Wallahatchie back in the day. You know, we didn't have cell cameras, and you couldn't go in and out. So I don't know, guys. I mean, I think we're on here in a podcast, and maybe you hear it in our voice, that we're still confused, you know, and we're battling like many of you guys are. We're battling it out. But like I said, Cole had a buck in Oklahoma that he's had history with, and goes in to kill him, and it just ain't happening. I mean, it's like the deer just beats you up like you're not even in the game.
Well, even on it, you know, again, we our strategy is to play these fronts, and we've had a couple, nothing like crazy. We did have a little snowstorm here in Oklahoma, but even on days when like deer should move, like you should see deer, you're lucky to see a couple does, and I can't figure out what. Because these farms aren't, they're not pressured.
I know, but I think going back to that and just listening to you talk, thinking maybe on the cuff here, is it just still goes back cold to food and cover. I mean, it's still not making them crave where we're hunting. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's been the key in the past, is whether you're setting on a biological food plot or a, evolved food plot, or you're setting on soybeans, or you're setting on a corn pile or feeder, they don't need it, even on those cold fronts, because I still think they're moving, but they just ain't in front of us because we're in the wrong spot, because they ain't craving that.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Because you feel like you're going in to potentially kill, and like I said,
it's kind of like you learn how to hit a baseball. You learn how to hit a baseball, and learn that you're using these same techniques, and one day, one season, you wake up and the way you used to hit a baseball doesn't work. So you're up there and you look like a,
Yeah. I don't know. Now, I'll say in Kansas, as we've gotten a little bit later, it's kind of gotten a little bit more normal. I feel like deer are starting to come back to food a little bit more consistent. Like we have that shadow buck, and some of those, they're pretty much on camera every day. But that just started, a couple weeks ago, that it really got back to normal. So I don't know. Maybe we can finish out strong. We still got, Kansas ends the 31st of December, but we still got Oklahoma. I think we're going to Texas middle of January, so that'll be fun. I don't know if Texas is experiencing the same kind of stuff we are. I think Texas is kind of its own.
Yeah. So I just talked to Jeff Lindsay yesterday. They're down in Texas, down at Cactus Jack's, and he said they've gotten a lot of rain too. And he said that that's been a struggle even in Texas. Is because that's how Texas relies on, guys. There's so much cover there. If you don't have a scenario and have corn out, you're not going to see any of those big bucks. And so they're struggling, same thing down there. And even I know Omar was when Chancey and Paul went down there, same type deal. So, again, it's just been tough. I mean, and like I said, we want to hear what you guys can say and shine some light on it maybe in your area. Maybe you have a theory why this is happening. I mean, I have a theory. Like I said, you guys have just heard it. So,
well, then there's people. I know the buck that Chancey was just hunting, the Jaley buck just got shot. I know that guy's already shot three big bucks this year. So, I guess it can be different for everyone. But I feel like overall, when we've talked to people, they're in the same boat we are. They can't find their big deer. It's hard to get on them. We're just trying to figure out.
So many, too, I guess we ain't really talked about too much, is disappearing deer. Deer, guys, I've had it happen to me before where you're waiting on a deer and he's going to be good and then he don't show and whatever. But I'm talking about deer that we know of that were late. They made it through hunting season and then we just never see them again. And, maybe next year they'll show up. I don't know.
Time will tell, I guess. I mean, we're not going to change anything we do, and we're still going to plant food and try to make it as good as possible.
I've shot 2 pretty big deer. Shot another great deer in Nebraska. Lord has blessed us just grinding it out, and like you said, is the encounters me and you have shared together with. I mean, just the other night, guys, we filmed stickers and. I know Cole posted a little reel of it, but I'm just telling you that the video don't do this deer any justice whatsoever. But one thing that another question I have for you guys is, we see stickers. We know he's 4 years old, and literally, guys, I bet you he's 100 pounds lighter than he should be. I mean, and he is dehydrated so much. I've literally, I mean, he's got one little wound on him, but other than that, he's just run down. And I haven't seen this like that. Obviously I've seen deer run down, but I've just seen it a lot these years. I mean, where these big Kansas bucks are tiny. They're so run down.
Yeah, when we were filming him in the video, which nobody's really seen it yet, when he's looking at us, I mean, his eyes they're barely open. I mean, he just looks like he's walking around like a zombie.
Yeah.
But he's still walking around because we got him on trail cameras at noon and walking
still
all over the farm.
Still messing with those. And he does stick his head in some food. He eats a few bites and he's gone. And even the catty buck that we killed, dude, this deer's backbone sticking up so much. I mean,
he definitely weighed 100 pounds the last time he did at the start of the season.
Huge.
Yeah, he was a big buck. He was 7 or 8 years old. And I guess let's kind of dive into that hunt if you want, we can kind of break it down because we had a lot of people asking about it. So the Booner Farm in Kansas, we bought it last year. I say we. Jeff bought it last year. Had a deer show up, I think 1st of November-ish last year somewhere. And we called him Caddy because the Caddyshack farm, which you had previously owned and sold it to buy the Booner Farm,
just a couple miles away.
Yeah, our friends Ryan Davis and them had pictures of this deer they called Stacked. Right across the fence line from Caddyshack Farm. Anyway, we get pictures of him. We call him the Caddy Buck. He's all broke up, but we knew he was big and mature, and we knew he was big, but half his rack was broke off, so we didn't know exactly what he was.
He was walking around like a 3-year-old.
Yeah, I passed him like 2 or 3 times. Obviously I wouldn't have shot him all broke up, but walking around, you could have shot him almost any day, especially as we got into December. He was walking around everywhere. We had a barn set, a blind that we hunted out of a barn, and a food plot in front of it. 2 days in a row, you could have shot. Could have shot him there, past him at like 15 yards. But anyway, he stayed all season. I would guess he shed there. We never found his sheds.
But he was there late.
But he was there. Yeah, we had pictures of him late. And then so going into this year, I thought, hey, if he shows back up, he's going to be a shooter. And
when it's the buck that I had on my mind. You know, and if you go to YouTube and you see us on them summer roads, we filmed them big deer that night, and we thought that might be him. It ended up not being, but it was right where he was at.
Yeah, it was within a half a mile, I think, of where he was. But anyway, trail cam photos start coming in, you know, summer, velvet, and all that, and then we go into season, no pictures of him. Ryan didn't have any pictures of him. Basically, nobody, as far as we know, nobody had pictures of him that we know. And so, again, season's been tough, and we literally decided, hey, we're going to go hunt. We're not waiting anymore. We got to go shoot something. And so we went and hunted decoy on the woolly grass farm.
140-inch deer.
Literally 140-inch deer. He's 7 years old, I think, this year. And we were going to be happy to go do it. And we hunted him, I think, a couple times. We saw him one night, and he was 85, 90 yards, never got him shot. And I think it was the next day. No, actually, we had pictures of him before we hunted.
Yeah, it was December.
We had one.
But yeah, I just still decided, you know what, this deer's gone, because that's the deal. He showed up. We got
had
two pictures of him in 2 minutes.
Yep. And it was the middle of the night, December 8th or what, I can't remember what it was. 2 pictures, and you went up there, and I think you started in after him, and there was just no sign of him.
Like a ghost.
Yeah, he was a ghost. We didn't know if it was still rifle season, didn't know if he got shot, didn't know what was going on. So, yeah, then we decided, hey, we're wasting our time here. Let's go hunt decoy, which we've had a lot of pictures of. We know he's there. He runs the farm. He's a bully buck. He would be a good one to shoot.
Beautiful deer.
Beautiful.
Maybe the prettiest deer of all time.
And so we started hunting him. And then I can't remember what day it was.
We had the encounter.
Well, we went to...
and then me and the night we filmed stickers is when I...
Yeah, so we go into the Booner farm. I don't think we had a good wind to hunt on the woolly grass. It was like an east wind. And so we just went to the Booner farm just thinking, well, you know, maybe this deer will walk by and the Lord just bless us. But that's the night we saw stickers. He walked by at 12 yards. And I remember we were sitting in the blind, and Jeff pulls up his stealth cam app and opens it, and I'm sitting here looking, and I could see he turns it towards me, and I look, I'm like, that's him. And it's 3 something, or no, I guess when you showed me it was 4 something in the afternoon, way daylight. And you set your phone down. I remember we looked at it, you showed him, I was like, that's him, he's alive, we didn't know. You set your phone down, and you go, here he is right here. Literally. And I was like, what? It turns out it was like a 130-inch 8-point or something.
But it scared me. I was just like, that way is where that picture came from, and I just went, there he is. Kind of quick.
Anyway, it wasn't him, but we had proof. Again, this is where trail cameras can help you. We had proof that he was still alive, didn't get shot.
And that was kind of when I told myself, this is the buck I'm
we're going after this deer. And so we didn't have any. So after that evening, he was daylight 2 hours before dark, 2.5 hours before dark. What was that, a half mile from us, maybe?
Well, and basically where we were at that night, guys, we were in a ground blind, actually where Cole shot his booner the year before. That place, I figured we could kill Caddy, and then there was a tree stand that I thought we could kill Caddy, and it was basically where he had got his picture that night. The only problem with that tree stand is you got to have a hard west, one way or the other, west or west-southwest or something like that, and we just weren't having that.
No, we had east winds.
Well, then
for like a week straight.
We were coming with the northwest, we saw.
Yeah, so he daylighted, but then he kind of disappeared for a couple of days, right? We didn't have any, I think 2 days, we didn't have any pictures of him. Friday morning, which would have been, the 15th? Mm-hmm. I went duck hunting. I went duck hunting with Ryan and Chad and all those guys up there on their place. It was raining, it was nasty. And I didn't get to check the camera that morning. And we get back, I come to the house, and you said you see that he was walked by daylight this morning, and it just
picture, blur picture where he's walking by chasing does.
And that was the first day we had. It was going from it's been east southeast for 5 days in a row. That afternoon it was changing northwest, and
That's, by the way, something always to look at, guys. When you have not just an east turn to north, but an east, 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 then turning to north, northwest, a lot of times you're going to have big time deer movement.
Mm-hmm. So we knew we were going to hunt them. We were just trying to figure out, do we go to this tree stand that's
Iffy at best.
Like we thought we could kill them out of it, but the wind, we thought that was our best spot to kill them as far as if we were going to kill them. But the wind just we needed a west or southwest, and it was northwest, and just wasn't going to work. So during the summer, we went and put out a hawk blind
in a 55-acre alfalfa field.
Basically, not in the middle of it, but pretty much in the middle of it. 70 yards off the tree line. Gonna hunt it mainly for, I think, muzzleloader and rifle, and then hunt it with a bow with a decoy.
Yeah.
But it was December 15th. We weren't going to put out a buck decoy or whatever. So we thought, well, maybe we'll go in and at least see him. At least see him. And then I think we maybe could have hunted the tree stand the next night. I can't remember what it was. But anyway, we go to this blind.
Well, my deal was we might kill him if we end up having some does out there and they went and messing around in front of us. Or I would get a 40, 50-yard shot of him coming up that edge over there.
Yeah. So we get in early, like 12:30. The field we just had 2 inches of rain. So we walked across the field and basically took our boots on, put our tennis shoes on in the blind because we didn't want to get mud everywhere. And,
12:30.
I felt pretty good about it. And we're sitting there. Little buck had come out for a second, went back in, saw some does, and I think it was 3:30. Now I'll let you go ahead and you can.
Yeah, so we're sitting there, and I'm again thinking we might see him, but you don't know what it was. Been raining, and this window, I just barely had a little deal, and I kind of went like that, and I could see something. It looked like a buck. It's kind of like that when it's getting daylight, and everything looks like a buck, and it not only looked like a buck, it looked like him. But I thought, yeah. That's probably that's a tree that I just didn't see a while ago. And then all of a sudden that tree moved his head, and I was like, dude, there's a big buck. And I popped the window open, and sure enough, it was him.
He's probably 200 yards, right?
Yeah, probably. And at that time I'm excited, but I'm thinking, he's way down there. And so then he kind of goes in the timber, and he's kind of coming north, which is our direction, but he's in the timber. And all of a sudden, for whatever reason, he just looks like he's coming out on the field. I'm like, well, dang, he's going to come out on this field right now at 3:30, 2 hours and 15 minutes or so before dark.
2 hours, 15 minutes.
And so I get the windows open right quick, and I'm thinking, okay, in my mind, we might get a shot. It might be 40, 50. If he'll stop right here at 50, I'll let him have it. And for whatever reason, this buck is just starting to get closer. He's getting further off the edge, and he's looking at a doe that's down to her right. And, I'm thinking, man, he's going to squirt by here after her. There's no way. But I'm, at the same time, loving the look of him. I mean, just a giant deer. And there's a point where I told Cole, I said, he's going to come right here broadside. I'm fixing to get a shot. And, I can't even describe it, really. I didn't get nervous. Usually I always get my heart beating, and there was just something different. I can't explain it. I was excited in a sense, but it was so much disbelief that God was like, yeah, I'm going to bring him right here, and I'm going to let you shoot him, and he's going to be right here where you can't miss. And sure enough, he comes up there. I stop him 20 yards and barely hit him. I about miss him, shoot him through the heart. And
when you first shot him, it looked like you shot low, and it came out the bottom of his chest. I thought, oh, no. We've been all season and had this deer at 20 yards, and I thought, he might not die. But thankfully, he ran away. When you rewatch it and slow it down, you realize, you took out his heart.
Yeah. I don't want to shoot him that low, but my deal is I told Cole, and I missed more deer high and backstrap more deer. I've missed very few low, and my deal from now on is to not only aim for the heart, but the bottom of the heart. That's the way I do. Maybe that's not for you. That's what I did then, and it worked.
He ran 80 yards, and he fell over in the timber, and we were watching, but we both thought you hit him low. And so we didn't know what we shot him. We didn't celebrate. We're like,
well, when you look back on it, you'll see there's blood pouring everywhere.
We're like, what in the world? We literally didn't say a word hardly. And we thought, well, do we need to get out and sneak over and look at him? And eventually we celebrated because we thought, he had to have died if he fell over there. Mm-hmm. But you get out, go over there and look at him with your bow, and sure enough, he's dead. But yeah, that was a blessing because it was go again. Not that we wouldn't have been happy shooting decoy on one of these other bucks, but to wait all year, you were holding out, and then this deer finally shows up in December, and then for him to literally walk across a wheat field, 200 yards in the wide open, 2 hours before dark. High speed footage, and he walks to 20 yards.
Well, and I'll say this, guys, and I pray that night, God, if it's pleasing to you, help me to be able to shoot this buck and give you all the praise. And I'm going to tell you, God is in everything. I probably get attacked more than anything over this statement. God doesn't care. Yeah, God has compassion. He loves us. And again, He's putting us in valleys. He's teaching us. He is sovereign. So absolutely, I credit every bit of that deer doing exactly what Cole just said. I mean, it was no accident. He comes out, and again, it's me knowing that without the Lord giving me any help and talent or whatever, it all comes from Him. And so I credit that, and He's in all that. And so I'm going to learn from my highs and lows, kind of where we started the episode. And I stand on that 100% because I believe it's biblical. And again, I'm not the guy going, oh, God, help me shoot a deer. But at the same time, it does say, if you remain in God, you might remain in Christ and His word remains in you, then you ask whatever you want. And that sounds weird. You have to get to the theological, biblical aspect of that. Because when you line up with God, that's what you get. You get the desires of your heart, in a sense. I mean, again, I probably shouldn't even open that can of worms because that's a big-time topic. But, again, I know that, this was God give us the ability to endure. Me and you've endured because of Christ. We look to Him in everything. We get in these valleys and we look to Him. And my prayer is that we look to Him in the highs as well. So I give God all the praise for us killing this giant in Kansas on a day that there's no way we should have, in a sense.
No, literally all we did was go get in a blind in the middle of a field, just hoping to see him. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe we'll see him and make a game plan going forward.
That's just how God works.
And he just walked out to 20 yards. And so anyway,
y'all give us some comments on what you think's happening in your world this year. And again, I want to reiterate, if you're struggling in life, if you're struggling hunting, whatever, man, turn to the Lord. And when I say that, not just, I'm going to pray right now. I'm talking about finding a local church, being in that church, being involved, serving God, serving others, being nothing, being emptied out, and knowing Christ is the only thing that we can rely on. He is trustworthy in every little thing. Rely on Him for that. Trust Him and live your life that way. To me, it's the only hope that we have. So again, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate our season, Cole. I mean, I don't want another one anytime soon, but it's been a difficult ride, but we have endured.
Mm-hmm. Well, and hopefully we can finish it off strong. We still got a little bit of time left. Lord willing, I can shoot one in Oklahoma, maybe at least one, but then we go to Texas. But yeah, it's been.
And if you're wondering, Cole didn't get a tag. You remember you got to go back to a few videos, but he didn't get a tag in Kansas. So
yeah, but next year we're gonna have some giants, so I'm okay with it. But no, guys, thanks for listening. We just want to get on here, kind of talk about what our season was. It's been good, but it's been the toughest we've ever had, and just kind of let us know your thoughts. We're gonna have the video of Jeff's deer that we just killed. It'll come out probably into January. We can't release it until another thing releases. We just can't show it yet. So once that happens, then we'll drop the video.
And one thing too, I mean, I've been getting just blown up with what he scored, and honestly, we have not scored this deer. It's not, we didn't because the way it happened, we had to get him down to a place because we didn't have a freezer, and so Daniel's probably going to pick him up, and we will score this deer. We're not gonna blab it out on social, but we will tell you guys.
I mean, we think he's mid 80s.
Yeah, I grossed him, or I roughed him at 186. That's just kind of what we think. And I think I'm pretty close.
But a 7-year-old buck, 186 in December.
Yeah.
I'll take it any day of the week. So. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to follow us on social. What else? Is that it?
Yeah, I mean, just Daniel's out. Whitney's still, she's on one. She's had one come back. I mean, you got...
This time of year, especially in Oklahoma and stuff, this time of year can be very deadly, especially if we can get some better weather. You get some colder weather, you can get on a deer. Well, if they're not broke up.
He mentioned the Jaley buck. I know if you followed us for years, and it was on my home farm for all these years. He's 8 years old this year, and he died about a mile from my farm, maybe a mile and a half. And literally, guys, he died about 10 yards from Chancey's home place. And he had 4 encounters with him this year, so you guys might drop him a message and just it's really hurt him. He was after him. I mean, he's glad somebody got him a real hunter, but at the same time,
I think he said he scored 177 or something. Yeah. So a really good buck. But we've had some deer shot by neighbors. It happened. And we've shot some neighbors' deer.
Oh, for sure.
So it happens.
Well, we kind of did this year. Caddy really wasn't ours this year.
Yeah, I guess we should say our farmer. We shot him on Friday. Our farmer had pictures of him 3 miles away on camera.
On Monday
in December.
In daylight, yeah.
So, just so people know, this was not farm raised. We've had some of those comments too.
Yeah. He crossed a pavement.
He crossed a major highway, or not a major, but a highway.
Yeah.
A lot of dirt roads.
3 miles.
And shot him.
We shot him. So, yeah, he definitely wasn't pen raised. We had like 4 pictures of him all year, so... Anyway. Well, guys, Merry Christmas to you. Buckventures is this is actually, we're finishing up our 20th season on national TV, and we're filming for our 21st. So, and we're starting our 21st year a different way, as we said, a different format. So we hope you guys will enjoy that. We're going to really work hard to put it together good. So,
yep. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Again, let us know in the comments kind of what your season's been like. Jeff got him a new coffee mug that's got a speaker built into the bottom of it.
Mr. and Mrs. Bowser from Kansas got me this, and they're fans of the show. Unbelievable. Thank you, guys.
I didn't get one, but I don't drink coffee, so I'm okay. But anyways, guys, like, subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.